Welcome back to Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. I'm thrilled to be joined by Jason Yormark, the founder of Socialistics, a leading social media agency that helps businesses turn their social media efforts into real, measurable results. We're going to talk more about Jason's background in just a moment. But Jason, how did you catch the social media bug and learn that you could do things different?
Yeah, it's a good question. I moved from Chicago to Seattle back in 2005 for Microsoft, and this is right around the time Facebook was transitioning from just being for schools and kind of rolling out to the general public. And it's right time, right place. Just kind of jumped in and helping navigate social media for Microsoft advertising, and ever since then, I've just my career kind of pivoted from general marketing to social media. And so I ran social media for Office for Mac, and spent another 10 or so years on the agency side running social media teams, running social media for a variety of different brands, and then always wanted to do my own thing. And about 4 or 5 years ago, launched Socialistics to kind of navigate social media for businesses, doing it the way that I wanted to do, which is really focused more on real results and not vanity metrics.
That's so cool. That's awesome. Yeah. And I know that you have a brand, the Anti-Agency, which is a book, a podcast, and a couple other things. We'll send people to that in just a little bit. But, what's the one thing, Jason, from all of your experiences that you just shared with us, and thank you for that you do differently if you were starting a new business today in late 2022?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that stands out right now is there's so much, with the pandemic and just people wanting to work from home and thinking about self-employment, there's a lot of competition in everything, basically, especially around marketing agencies. So you really have to kind of pick a lane. You gotta pick a niche, and you can do that vertically or horizontally, right? And I would argue maybe even both if you want to be successful. So it's really kind of picking an area that you want to focus on, whether that's e-commerce or B2B or just like a specific industry and or a specific competency. So SEO, social media. So if you can combine those two, you can really carve out a nice little business for yourself by focusing on those specific things. Because if you try to be everything to everybody, you're going to have a real hard time with the amount of competition that's out there. And people just have a really, they just don't, there's a lot of noise. So people are ignoring a lot of email and just there's so much things that they're being attacked with. You really need to speak to a specific audience if you want to get their attention, and then ultimately be able to spend enough time with them to get them interested in what you do and potentially working with you.
Sure. I'm chatting with Jason Yormark, disruptive entrepreneur and best-selling author, and the founder of Socialistics. So, Jason, I know that you are that social media expert, but one of the things that people are using social media for is dealing with the challenges that we face today of hiring great talent. Mm-hmm. So what are some of those tactics and strategies I know that you've become somewhat of an expert on to finding and hiring great talent in a crowded, like you said, crowded marketplace?
Yeah, it's a great question. I was very fortunate to kind of be trained and pick up on a lot of that at Microsoft. They kind of put you through the gauntlet, and I spent 6 months just hiring people and learning how to do that effectively. Some of the tips that I would recommend for folks are, it's funny, LinkedIn and Indeed are really transitioning their business model in terms of how they allow businesses to kind of market their jobs. So it's really cost effective. You can actually post jobs on LinkedIn for free. Now, of course, they'll charge you to kind of expand your reach, but we've had a lot of success just posting jobs for free and getting some initial traction there. But one of the biggest tactics that I would use that's going to really save you a lot of time is integrate a video into your process. It gets really overwhelming when you have 70, 80, 100 candidates to get through and you're just not sure, because a lot of people just spray and pray. They just apply to everything and cross their fingers. And those aren't the folks that you really want. You want the folks that have actually taken the time to look at the role in your company and have a genuine interest in you. So instead of having to talk to a bunch of people, because you know how it goes, you get on the phone, and for most people within a couple minutes, you're like, no, this isn't a good fit, but you want to be respectful. So you're wasting 15, 20, 30 minutes of your time. Have folks go and do a Loom video. Ask 3 questions. Ask them to go record a video for you, answer these 3 questions, because what that does is basically 75% or more won't do it. So you basically saved yourself a ton of time, because if they're not willing to do that, then you've saved yourself some time. Sure. Then you're going to get to see them. How do they communicate? Are they a good communicator? You're going to know within 30 seconds and a minute, does this person look prepared, passionate? Do they communicate well? Now you've checked that box. Now it's worth getting on a phone call with them. You saved yourself a ton of time because you've taken a candidate list of 70, 80, 100 down to maybe 5 or 6. And it saves you a ton of time, and it allows you to kind of really be efficient in your hiring practices.
Yeah, absolutely. So, no, I appreciate you sharing your expertise, Jason Yormark. Perhaps the most important homework assignment where people can learn how they can drive real results through social media, as well as talk about hiring great talent, is by getting in touch with you and listening to your podcast, Anti-Agency. So, Jason, how can we do that? How can we get in touch with you and your amazing team over at Socialistics?
Sure. I mean, the easiest thing to do is to check us out at socialistics.com. We have a lot of great free resources, like you mentioned, the podcast, the book. We have this great social media budget calculator. We put a lot of stuff out there just to help people navigate making decisions. You can also find me at jasonyormark.com, much of the same stuff, things that I've written over the years, the book, blog posts, things that really just help people navigate marketing in an authentic way, and always happy to help individuals navigate that, regardless of whether they need to hire somebody or they just need to self-learn. I'm always wanting to help people kind of make good decisions when it comes to their marketing and social media.
That's awesome. Well, I've already learned a lot from our conversation. Jason Yormark, thanks so much for sharing your expertise with our listeners. I look forward to having you back on real soon. Quick break here and get down to business. The show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. We'll be right back.